On today's Super Saturday episode of the Ango Show, we have tons and tons and tons of topics to discuss. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. WWE is getting exposed by an AEW star who used to work for them, plus some big changes to NXT and so much more. You're not going to want to miss it. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. Welcome back to TAS. All right, guys, I want to kick things off with some very interesting news surrounding JBL and AEW. Recently, he was on Sportskeeda doing a Q&A session, and he was asked if he would ever make his way to AEW. This was very interesting because we've already seen JBL pop up in MLW and TNA and just like GCW and everywhere else. He basically said that he's always been a lifelong WWE guy. He's always been loyal to WWE, so probably not. But he does say never. And the reason why I even want to bring this up, JBL is obviously doing a lot of stuff outside of the WWE these days. It looks like he's part of a contract, with the WWE as a legend. We see him pop up on the kickoff shows and stuff. But it is possible that maybe he can end up on AEW. Now, how would WWE feel about that? I think that is a very, very big question. But if you were the WWE, would you allow JBL to go to AEW? And I think that right there, if you're the WWE, you should. Even if he's under a Legends deal or whatever, if he were to make an appearance of some sort. I mean, we saw Bret Hart at the first Double or Nothing, and he presented the AEW World Championship, but now, he's in WWE anyways, so I don't think it's necessarily that big of a deal. Now, what's really interesting is JBL has been an on-screen character in recent years in WWE, but we don't see much of him anymore. They completely dropped the thing with him and Baron Corbin, which I found to be somewhat interesting, but it is something to pay attention to because you literally just never know what can happen, and that's what makes professional wrestling so good. WWE is working with other companies, and I'm not suggesting that WWE will work with AEW, but if JBL is not presenting that much value to WWE's current product, yeah, never say never. It could make a lot of sense. Speaking of AEW, let's talk a little bit about Thunder Rosa. I thought this was incredibly interesting. There's been a lot of talks about Thunder Rosa being, injured and whatever it may be. Dave Meltzer recently talked about Rosa being cleared to return. However, Thunder Rosa actually went on Instagram and said that she wants people to stop spreading rumors about her health. She says she will announce when she's ready to return. In the meantime, she says she's following the concussion protocol and the advices of the medical team. Don't read into the dirt sheets. Love ya and take care of your brain. Your heart has to break a little bit for Thunder Rosa. Obviously, we haven't seen too much of her in the past year or so, and that is clearly due to injuries. I think she's a phenomenal talent. I feel like Thunder Rosa has been incredibly good for AEW. There was rumors at one point that maybe Thunder Rosa wanted out, but I think that's kind of the issue here is that when people get injured in AEW and people don't necessarily know what's going on with their injuries, then people immediately think that they're disgruntled or they're not necessarily happy in AEW. And when that tends to happen, I think that becomes problematic. Now, at the end of the day, it's always health before wealth. I want to see Thunder Rosa be a big part of AEW, especially when you look at how stacked the women's division currently is in 2024. Even though the booking doesn't reflect that, when somebody like Thunder Rosa is out with an injury, that's a problem because she is a integral part of the women's division. And trust me, I'm not saying anything new. Go back and watch Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker when AEW did the St. Patty's Day special themed Dynamite. Those are the things that people... If you watched it and you remember it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how good Thunder Rosa is. There's a reason why she was a champion in AEW. There's a reason why people are a big fan of her. And quite frankly, if you're AEW, it does make a lot of sense to push her because not only is she a veteran, but she is really good in the ring and people actually like her. So obviously we want to see her healthy. We want to see her back. That's what's most important. Whenever it happens, it happens. But it is interesting that Dave Meltzer is talking again about somebody's health and then a talent coming out and basically saying, yo, don't speak for me. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. And this continues to be a constant trend with some of the reporting that goes out about wrestlers' health. And I think, from my perspective, as somebody who talks about the wrestling news on a daily basis, I never want to speculate on somebody's health because we don't know what they're going through. We don't know their test results. We don't know their symptoms. We are not doctors. We are not involved in their medical process. So with that being said, I want these people to be recovered because, again, we care more about health than anything else. But it's important that, the process is done correctly. So she's in concussion protocol. She's getting her brain looked at. They're working on it. Hopefully everything is good, and hopefully this isn't any long-term issues. And then when Thunder Rosa is ready to return, she's ready to return, and hopefully she could go back in with very little risk of having any long-term effects. So very interesting stuff there as well. Let's talk a little bit about TNA. We're not going to spend too much time talking about this. For those who may have not known about this, TNA is canceling their tapings in Florida, and this is due to the hurricane that is coming around. So I just kind of want to step in and talk about this for a quick second. TNA tapings are being canceled. TNA is on the rise. TNA has a lot of momentum. It's obviously not easy when you have to cancel tapings because not only do fans pay and purchase for their tickets, people get excited about it. Obviously, TNA has a show to run, but Mother Nature has come in and obviously changed the plans. I believe at this point, the hurricane is like a category 4 or expected to be a category 4, which is obviously really crazy. But I think TNA is making the right call. If you're a fan and maybe you don't know exactly what's happening, go check out TNAWrestling.com. Check out TNA on social media. They're posting all the information regarding the tapings being canceled. And of course, we want to see TNA do good. We want to see TNA be in a situation where they don't have to cancel shows, but this is inevitable. Any other wrestling company would have to do the same thing. I believe MLW is also following suit. So obviously, look, Mother Nature is a real thing. Tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes. Like, there's a million different things that can happen that could prevent a show from going on. This is obviously outside of TNA's control. We'll see how TNA decides to move forward with these tapings being canceled. And obviously, when we get more information, we will keep you guys updated. That brings us to our next topic. Some big news coming for MJF. MJF is actually... He's going Hollywood, man. He is joining the cast of Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore 2. PWInsider.com has reported that MJF is playing Gordy, one of Adam Sandler's sons in the film. The report added that Gilmore's sons are all strong kids, tough, crazy bastards with New England accents who have inherited their father's love of hockey. They all live out on their own and work blue-collar jobs. We know that Julie Bowen and Christopher McDonald are both back in the movie as well as Virginia and Shooter McGavin. Bad Bunny is also in the cast, which I thought was really interesting. Apparently Travis Kelce from the Chiefs is going to be in the movie. Adam Sandler, a lot of people like Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is bringing back Happy Gilmore 2, which, sometimes when it comes to watching Hollywood film, guys, sometimes these remakes or these sequels that they end up doing, they're just not always that great. But I grew up watching Happy Gilmore 1, and to see MJF get another role is actually really cool. We saw him on the Iron Claw. Now he's doing this. This is always a great thing for AEW as well. When one of your top stars are venturing off into Hollywood and they're getting roles outside of wrestling, that's a really good way to cross-promote the shows. But just in general, it's a really good way to increase the stock of the talent that are on the shows, right? So MJF, obviously being part of Happy Gilmore 2 means that he's going to be able to do red carpet events. That means he's going to be doing tons of interviews and press. And of course, that's where it's really important that MJF also utilizes that time to explain to those who don't know who he is, that he is an AEW wrestler, former AEW world champion, former international champion. And it makes you think a little bit, right? With AEW, who is the one person right now that is actually getting big roles? It is MJF. And if I were AEW, I would look at that as maybe an opportunity to have a belt on him, because when he is going to be doing red carpet, when he is going to be doing press, he will in fact be able to promote AEW, and having that belt there is a really big symbol for them. This is why when you see WWE stars do Hollywood and you see John Cena, it always ties back to the WWE, which in turn, it's always a good thing. It's a really good marketing tactic. I'm very excited for MJF. I think he's incredibly talented. I want to see this guy do more Hollywood movies, and hopefully the movie is good. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. That's going to bring us to our next topic. Guys, WWE NXT on the CW debuts next week, and there is just so much talk about some of the changes and things that we can expect. Shawn Michaels is actually talking about this publicly. We know that WrestleVotes recently came out and said that WWE will change the logo and presentation of NXT. Now, Shawn Michaels actually confirmed this with the Chicago Tribune. He says, certainly we want to make a big splash on the CW network. We'll have some big changes, but I think more of that will be from a look and a physical standpoint. We will still be what NXT is, which is bringing some of the most talented, young, diverse athletes in all of the nation and developing them into the WWE superstars of tomorrow. The hunger, the passion that's always been the core value of NXT is always going to be there, but certainly we'll try to put out some pretty cool bells and whistles for the CW launch on October 1st. Now, with that being said, don't forget Roxanne Perez and Julia are opening up the show, and you have to wonder if new title belts will also be revealed. Now, one thing I want to say, a year ago, so long before WrestleVotes even reported this, right? A year and a half ago, I came out and I told you guys, listen, before those WWE TV deals come out, there have already been talks because of TKO and Triple H. They want to re-envision what the brand looks like, presentation, logos, graphics. That's the plan, right? Then I came out with another video that suggested, hey, plans are being put on hold because WWE has plans to do this when the new TV deals are decided. Now, we already saw SmackDown got rebranded now that they're on USA Network, which, by the way, the rebrand is incredible. NXT is being rebranded for the CW, which will take place next week. And Raw is expected to be completely rebranded by the time that they get on Netflix, which is January 1st of 2025. So this is already massive, massive news, but I'm very glad because the thing about NXT, and I love NXT, and I don't mind the logo, but the colors, the yellow, all the splash of color, you know, the orange, like, it's just a little too much. It still reminds me a little bit of NXT 2.0. And I feel like there's just so many different ways to rebrand NXT into a more serious brand. And I'm curious, you know, if you guys look at this graphic right here, especially, there is this whole thing where like NXT is kind of being branded with the CW colors. So I don't know if they're going to stick with an orange and kind of go based off of this look right here, but we do know that it's going to be changing. I look forward to seeing what NXT looks like on TV. You know, they're going to be in Chicago, then they're going to be in St. Louis. Are they going to go back to the Performance Center? Are they going to do smaller arenas? Are they going to try to do bigger arenas? I just want a consistent look for this company, and I want this company to be really, really good at like having the presentation being taken more seriously. The product is good, man. The booking is good. The consistency is good. Shawn Michaels has a very well-oiled machine on this brand, and the beauty of that is that you just need people to take it a little bit more serious. Part of that is going to come from the visual side of things. I think if they can get visually creative here, I think AEW, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, they're all going to be very well presented programs. It really comes down to the graphics team, and it comes down to those types of things. But, you know, I think this is a really good thing overall for NXT. I'm glad to see that everything I talked about a year ago is coming to fruition. And the reason why I'm glad is because sometimes plans like this get dropped. But I also know when I was told that WWE wanted to reimagine the physical appearance of their brand, I remember hearing very specifically that NXT was the one that there was a little bit more of an emphasis on because of the fact that they went from black and gold to white and gold. The NXT 2.0 thing was like really weird, and it was just a weird transition. And some people felt like maybe NXT wasn't being taken as serious simply because of the way that it appeared. So I'm glad to see that WWE understands that physical appearance actually matters, especially when all the other shows look really good and they're all very, very, very well booked shows. So yeah, in my opinion, I'm super excited to see what actually happens here. When we get some information, we will definitely keep you guys updated. Just a quick little tidbit. AEW is coming to Fox. At least that's what Swerve Strickland is saying. He was doing an interview with Queen's Flip, and he said that SmackDown had left Fox and AEW is coming in. He says, we're about to move. We're about to get on Fox because SmackDown is leaving Fox, and then we're taking Fox, TNT, TBS, and we got all of them three things. And Tony Khan lets me do whatever the F I want. He owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was really cool, man. You know, Swerve, obviously being the one to kind of say this is a good good thing. Tony Khan has not made a formal announcement. Nobody's made a formal announcement from AEW, but Swerve Strickland is talking about this very publicly. AEW coming to Fox is obviously a big deal. Whether it's FS1, 2B, or whatever it may be, we don't know. But AEW Shockwave is coming. Swerve Strickland's talking about it. There is clearly a lot of excitement there about this. And you know what? Here's the deal. This is what I'm going to say. This is why I'm very, very happy to see what is actually happening in today's day and age with wrestling. TV networks want wrestling, and I keep talking about this for years and years. Years and years and years ago of doing YouTube, that wasn't always the case. Today, that is the case, and I'm glad to see that is the case. I'm glad to see that wrestling companies actually, have a chance to be on mainstream networks. Is AEW getting paid as much as WWE going on Fox? Absolutely not, but that's not what it's about. It's about AEW having a chance to grow their business. People need to remember that. It's all about growing your business. The only way AEW will actually be able to grow their business is by being everywhere. That it's a big thing for WWE to be on CW and Netflix and USA Network and Fox and all these different companies. AEW being exclusive to Warner Bros. Discovery never actually made sense. So that is something I'm very excited about. Can't wait to see the formal announcement. I know I've been following the coverage nonstop, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated. But it is interesting that it was an AEW star who is now talking about this publicly. If for some reason AEW doesn't join Fox, this will look really bad and it will not age well. But for Swerve to be talking about it publicly, it sounds like AEW is relatively positive about this, and I wouldn't be shocked if they had him slip that in there, part of that interview. And with that being said, that brings us to our main event of today's video. EJ and Duca went off on Twitter. And guys, if you did not see the thread, please, please, please check it out on Twitter. He is exposing WWE. And wow, I'm shocked. Now, granted, EJ and Duca was known in WWE as Ezra Judge. He left WWE. We saw him go to MLW. Now he's in AEW. I'm happy for him. He's a great talent. I never really understood why WWE never actually pushed him, especially when it comes to getting opportunities. It just never made sense. But he's speaking out, and I really, really love this what he said with what he's saying. So for those who don't know, Swerve Strickland was on Twitter. He posted a video with Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy. EJ and Duca came out on Twitter with quote tweets, and it doesn't make WWE look good. So the first one is the first one that he tweets, "Say it louder for the people in the back. Other side refused to give us opportunities, and now look, the cream always rises to the top. Industry shakers." He says that he came into this industry from NFL, where the hardest working person in the room at the very least gets an opportunity. I was the first one every single day and the last one to leave. Came to every extra ring. Tried to ask for help, but nothing. They pulled the rug from underneath my family and I, many other wrestlers, because he wanted to spend that money on hush money. As far as I am concerned, y'all can eat glass. I wish one of y'all would even debate what I'm saying, because I knew this day would come. I recorded all and have receipts. They even try to pay me off and prevent me from coming to AEW for a whole year. They said certain people don't like admitting when they make a mistake. A firm believer in whatever happens in the darkness always comes to the light. I'm forever grateful to AEW, Ring of Honor, and the entire locker room for building something from nothing. We are doing great things, and if it never existed, a lot of us would have disappeared. I'd rather work for a boss who is genuinely excited for your future and development, who waits at the end of the ramp for everyone to congratulate them instead of one who ignores you or buries you for trying to be different. Y'all don't even know half of all you see is the end product. Won't speak up because of fear, but I'm not afraid and I have receipts, and anyone who knows me knows that I speak the truth. Anyway, get your popcorn ready because Lee J is about to shock the world just like every single time I get an opportunity." He also goes on to say, he was told to sign an NDA and never say I wasn't given an opportunity because I would blackball myself. Fast forward 3 years later, I don't give a damn. Y'all left my family and I stranded during the pandemic and we almost lost our house. I get my mouth shut and head down. My son was not even 3 years old when I got released. I was never given a reason why. I was only told this was the toughest firing we ever had to do. We had nothing and it was in the middle of the pandemic. I almost quit, but my wife and several top guys sent me DMs and advised me no. I went to MLW and got over in one match. There's so much more I could say, but I'm happy to be in AEW and I'm grateful for Tony Khan giving my family and I another opportunity to be in this industry that I love and have a lot of respect for. There's countless of other people like me who continues. Yeah. Look, guys, this is crazy. EJ and Duca, obviously a lot to be said here. He is talking that talk. WWE talking specifically about Vince McMahon spending hush money. What did we hear about during COVID? We heard during the pandemic, budget cuts. All those releases due to budget cuts. He's basically saying, no, that money was used for hush money. The Vince McMahon situation, the way Vince McMahon handled releases were really, really bad. We all know that. We all acknowledged it on this channel. But I think the biggest thing here is that, like, this guy wasn't even given a chance. I think he is incredibly talented, and I think WWE, even though it is a different regime, you want to stay far and far away from the reputation that Vince built for that company. You don't hear WWE adding time to people anymore. You don't really hear of releases anymore. It does seem like things are changing, but it's gradual and it's slow. We'll see how it all changes as time goes on. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.